Hi, thanks for watching Malta Dynamics. Every once in a while, when we have an opportunity to speak with a safety professional, I like to ask them questions about what they find most critical about their job, the problems they face, the things that have happened to them professionally and personally that have made them who they are and dictate how they go about their job. Please enjoy this next clip. What industry do you find is your company's sweet spot?
Construction. Industrial construction, commercial construction, even small residential construction. It's the most radically changing job site all the time. Manufacturing environments are very stable. You have the same hazards typically every day, or with small changes. But in construction, the job site's changing moment to moment, literally day to day. There's a whole different set of hazards than there were yesterday. As the building goes up, if it's underground that you're doing, if it's foundations, then your height, you have fall protection issues. It all changes, and that's where the most need is. That's where we go for.
Is there a reason that Veritas goes into one of the most difficult industries to train?
Yes, because if you're going to be in the construction industry, you really have to be well versed. You have to have an experience level that allows you to know enough about each of the processes that you can relate that information in a way that the worker can actually digest, use, and then maybe implement into the end of the job site. If you go into that and don't have that experience level, you're not going to be an effective trainer. You're not going to have an effective safety program because you're not going to be able to relate to them and what they're doing each day.
Your company customizes programs for your customers. Why is that important?
Well, it's important to customize a safety program for someone and the training and the inspection process because no two companies are the same. Everyone builds a different widget, a different gadget, a different product. Everyone is constructing a different building, a different shape, a different style. They all have different needs. They are on different sites. They're many times in different weather zones. All of that comes into play. An example would be that when you're in the desert Southwest and you're doing earthwork in the summer, there's not a lot of chance of rain. In Ohio, when you're doing earthwork in the summer, there's always a chance of rain. And that changes the entire dynamics of the soil, of the benching and sloping. So that in itself is one of those things where you can see that even geographics and even the specific work and the type of work, the trade that's doing it, it's going to be different from place to place, building, business to business, building to building project. So we have to be able to give the customer what they need, not what we think they need.
What changes have you seen in the safety culture in industries you've worked with over the last 3 decades?
Total change. I have seen a time when if you wanted to do safety management, there were no resources to do safety management. The equipment wasn't available. If it was so cost prohibitive that companies couldn't do what they wanted to do, if they could even find a supplier for it. Then as competition started developing and the different products were available, then training became more dynamic. I can remember when people would train right off a piece of paper, and it was horrible. It was a person talking in a monotone, literally that instructor you had in high school or college that you really liked as a person, but you did not want to spend 2 hours in a room with. That's one of the things that's changed. Training is dynamic now. It's hands-on. It's also a lot of test-driven training, meaning that you can show that there was some amount of retained knowledge. It's not just that you signed a sheet and, oh, he's trained or she's trained. No. You have to show that they have retained some of the knowledge and they can put that into use at the job site or at their manufacturing facility. That's one of the things that's changed. And I think the other one is the buy-in by both unions and corporations, because the unions and the corporations have seen that all of these things cost them money, not just in the direct costs, but the indirect costs like recovery times and lost time and restricted duty time. And they've actually quantified those and they can tell you how much they are. The other thing is with the unions, they're sponsoring their own health and welfare funds and they've seen the impact. And they're like, We have to do something about this. I know the iron workers have a phenomenal crane and rigging training. Carpenters have great fall protection training. Why? Because those are the big issues they're dealing with all the time. They're very focused, they're very craft focused now on safety. It's pretty impressive.
If you could wave a magic wand and make one of the problems go away forever, what would that problem be? What would you change in the industry?
The need for me and other people like me. If we could do that, that would be great, because nobody would be getting hurt. Short of that, I would say if I could change one thing in the industry, it would be the approach of certain regulatory agencies, because they're, I think, invested in an enforcement down approach, where I think it should be just the opposite. I think it should be an education up approach. You have to enforce the law. You have to enforce the law when people are violating the law. They should know better. They're in business. We get that. But there's also a way to do that that actually builds up the safety level by giving people credits for training and their fines and their penalties, for referring them to companies, not just ours, any company that's doing good quality training, to refer them to them.
Chris, thank you for sharing your story.
Appreciate your time.
With us and our customers. I appreciate it very much. We can tell that you have a passion. We can tell that you care about your customers. We share that core value, so thank you, and thank you for watching.
Thanks for your time.